Why this matters is because all we would like, I think, at this point, the general public and certainly Congress and the investigators, is the whole truth, or a full picture of what went on here. And the fact that we keep learning now about new people who were there and possibly new subjects of conversation, it just extends this out even longer and suggests that there's going to be much more to this, either before this meeting, after this meeting, because of this meeting. Others may have been talking to other people. So, this just continues to demonstrate why, while there may be many people out there who are tired of this story or believe that it is, as the president says, a witch hunt, or others who can't get enough of it, it's going to continue because the details continue to trickle out. Literally almost day by day, there is a new drip added to the large puddle.
I feel like last year the drips at this time, the drips were all about emails and Hillary Clinton, and now it is this Russian scandal. Trump called this meeting opposition research. We've heard that mentioned a lot. But does this lobbyist account, does it sort of show us more evidence that maybe his closest advisors were possibly attempting to collude? We keep using that word, collusion.
Well, I think, as they've implied this week, who wouldn't take the meeting? Clearly the Trump campaign was in pursuit of something negative on the Clinton campaign. Maybe not something specific, but they were clearly trying to find something they could use against her as the general election campaign began, because they understood that there were things out there already that were working to great effect to drive down her negatives, and since his negatives were so bad in the campaign, they figured they had to try to keep her down. So I think what this continues to demonstrate is, yes, there was clearly an eagerness to do this, and the family and the business had connections to Russians, so obviously if Russians were coming forward, they were willing to talk about it. But I think the important thing for the broader context of all this is that this isn't going away. We may now at some point see either Donald Trump Jr., Jared Kushner, Paul Manafort have to testify publicly to a congressional committee about this, while they are also talking to the special counsel. And it just continues to prove that there very well may be a lot more to this than we realize.
Jared Kushner also in that meeting, and we're learning that he had to change his security clearance forms 3 times. Give us some perspective. He went from having no listed foreign contacts to more than 100. How big a deal? Does this happen in other situations where you can say, oh, the security form has been changed numerous times, or is this truly a unique situation?
Well, I've never heard of anyone else having to add 100 more meetings to their forms. So that certainly stands out. Look, Democrats especially this week were calling for his security clearance to be revoked, some of them doing it again. At this point, they've got to go through essentially due process to review this and figure out whether or not something untoward happened here, and that's obviously also tied up in the investigation. So it may be a while yet until his clearance is fully revoked, but certainly there are people who are concerned with having him so close to sensitive information while under the cloud of suspicion, and after lying on the forms that allowed him to get this in the first place. Remember, this is part of what tripped up Michael Flynn, the former national security advisor, and he was excused quite quickly. The difference perhaps here is that Michael Flynn wasn't the president's son-in-law.
Yeah. Some Republican lawmakers seem to be getting more frustrated with the Trump administration and the Russia situation, the Russia amnesia. Give us an idea, when it comes to them, is this going to be a liability politically?
Absolutely. And not only are they upset about this, while it continues to play out at a time when Republicans on Capitol Hill can't seem to move on anything significant, whether it's health care or anything else. This is a Congress right now that is focused solely on health care, is moving some other things through the system in the House, but really the marquee event right now is health care, and it's stuck. And next week's going to be really challenging. There's a chance that they get moving on something in the Senate, but it's going to be razor thin and not pretty. And regardless, they'll see it as a win if they can get a health care bill out of there. But it's been very challenging. And part of the challenge has been the fact that as that continues, all of these conversations and revelations about Russia continue to prop up. And that causes great consternation for Republicans, who then face questions from reporters about, what did you know? What do you make of this? What does this say? And their pretty standard answer is, we're furious about it. We wish they'd come clean over at the White House, tell us everything there is to know, so that the investigations can conclude and we can move on to other things. But the president isn't heeding those calls.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you remember with Obamacare, obviously President Obama was there and able to push the agenda with this, and Trump not able to do that.